What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday. We're going to be talking through this MLB 13-game slate. I wanted to mention real quickly, we have still the promo code for the NFL. It's NFL 2025, all caps. And you guys might want to take a look at some of the packages. We've done incredibly well, and really hope that you guys will take a look and see what what we have to offer. We've got all of SaberSim content, all of the paid DFS content. We've got all of Sheets' projections, Goldie's projections. I don't need to tell you how well Sheets has done. Brandon Cruz, who's just been absolutely tearing up everything. Basically, this is our NASCAR guy has turned into Mr. Everything. He's winning the showdowns. He's winning the MLB slates now. Brandon Cruz's content, as well as mine and Roadies, et cetera, et cetera. And it's only a fraction more than SaberSim. So I think we have a really unique offering that is really worth taking a look at. We got that out of the way. I want to say what's up to you guys. Good evening to everyone who pops on in. I'm going to talk for this for as long as you guys have questions, and I, think that it makes sense. Probably somewhere in the 20 minute to half hour range. I'm going to share my screen, sort of where I'm at. I'm going to change some things. In general, I'm not going to go through my exact exposures like this because I do post all my final exposures and exact builds on our website. Another one of the value adds, and as you know, I don't want to prop us up too high, but Sheets, myself, Brandon, Roadie, everybody's got an incredible history. So I really do think we're worth taking a look at. We're a smaller site. We also can, we answer every question. We talk to everybody in Discord. We got a great Discord group. So check us out. All right. With that said, we are going to start off by talking about the pitching tonight. So big slate with, I think, some obvious places people are going to go hitting wise. We'll start off with that real quick before we get into the pitching. And I'm just going to take a quick look at the expected ownership here. So we've got, I'm guessing it's going to be pretty Miami heavy, along with maybe some Colorado, New York, and Milwaukee. That's fine with me. I think there's some other teams we could talk about. But I also think the pitchers are kind of interesting, which sounds really weird on a 13-game slate. But in that Colorado game, I actually have a little bit of interest in both pitchers for whatever reason. It's for Perez, we know he's got the upside against a weak Rockies lineup. And look, we just saw one of the better games of the year pitched by the guy on the other side over there. So I'm going to consider it at least. We'll see where I end up. Kyle Freeland, excuse me. But I really do think that it's kind of interesting, to maybe not play as much of that game and maybe limit our exposure. We'll see what we end up with at the end of this. But as of right now, this is, I changed some things. I'm using Sheets' projections for the pitching. I love using Sheets' projections and Goldie's projections all the time. The most up to date, because I'm going to be late swapping also, I tend to convert everything but pitching to SaberSim when it comes to baseball. But I do think you can get it a little bit different. You can see Sheets' projections a little bit different than what Goldie's is, and different from what we have over at SaberSim as well. So I boosted the pitching to appropriately reflect that. So anyway, Freddie Peralta and Ohtani, I think, are the pretty two obvious ones. I could see getting creative in large field tournaments and maybe taking some bats against Freddie Peralta. He's been really good. It makes sense that why he's going to be popular. But I do have he and Ohtani as my highest owned, followed by Perez, McGreevy, Erod, obviously Gilbert, Smith. And I think I'm going to end up with a little bit of Kyle Freeland. I know that sounds completely nuts, but I'm willing to take a little bit of a gamble on this slate. Not playing a crazy amount of lineups myself, so willing to take some chances. And when you get in, say what's up in the chat and let us know what you're thinking. If you have any thoughts, anything you want to drop in, feel free. All right, so we're getting 32% of Miami 5-mans. With their ownership, that's probably of Miami stacks. Let's see how many are 5-mans. Only 16%. I think we want to keep this number. That's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to make it 15 or lower for both Miami and Colorado tonight. I just think that Colorado might not have enough ownership to where I have to worry about that. So maybe I don't make that move yet. But I wonder what happens. Because I would really I don't mind the Cincinnati side as being my main stack for the 5-mans. But I think there's other routes to go other than just playing the chalky Miami on a 13-game slate. And it is, after all, Miami. San Francisco's getting quite a lot of love tonight. I actually don't mind San Francisco, or a lot of love from SaberSim. I shouldn't say a lot of love throughout the industry. I was kind of surprised when I looked at the player expected ownerships and just take a look just to see what we've got for the hitters. Let me just go to expected ownerships again. I was surprised that we didn't have more Milwaukee. They've got a big total. They've obviously been very good lately, and I actually thought Milwaukee would come in a little higher owned than it looks like they're going to. Now, they're not going to be unowned or anything, but it is kind of interesting to maybe take some gambles there. You do have some pinch hit risks, of course, as always with Milwaukee, but I kind of like the idea of maybe getting a little overweight Milwaukee. So I'm just going to make sure I stay in this above 10% range for Milwaukee stacks. It's another change I'm going to tweak in here. And for those of you guys who are site members, I'm going to finish my stuff after this show. We don't have some lineups in still yet, and I'll be able to let you guys know exactly what I'm doing. Where our whole site prides ourselves on being the most transparent out there. We tell you exactly what we're doing. We don't mess around, and we're here to try to help you guys win as well. Thanks a lot, Corey. Thanks. Good to see you, Eagle, Andy, everybody in here. And yeah, that's sort of what I was getting. So let's just rebuild with what I did. But I do think that for this slate, I don't want the threes on this particular slate. The 3 threes. Let's just go to 0. We don't need both zeros. So I'm going to just do the 0 on these. It's probably not going to pop up much anyway. But now that I've made some tweaks, every now and then you get some weird builds. So I'm just going to X these ones out of my stacks. Sheets will always X out non-5-mans. Now, you guys know I'm very willing to play non-5-mans, but I don't like doing it on 13-game slates. I prefer a 5-man on a 13-game slate. Prefer to get a little bit more unique when we have smaller slates. Well, you know what? We'll don't want to make it 100. We'll just do this. I'm not opposed to a 3-3-2 if it happened to work out exactly right. I don't think I love the 4 blank ideas, but I don't mind the idea of a little if I got to a few 4-2s and 4-3. Yeah, that's sort of where I want to leave it. So with that, with the changes, we made the tweaks to using all of our pitchers to each Sheets' projections. We could have used Goldies. That's also a very viable route. We changed a little bit of the stacks, capped off the Miami 5-man at only 15%. So we're going to end up with a little bit less of that. And we also I changed a few of the top hitters' projections to reflect what Sheets and Goldie has. And I switched it up with a couple of them. But this is essentially what I'm doing. So I'm going to rebuild here, see where we're at. I also think Tampa Bay is kind of interesting against Barrios. I just don't love the 5-man. So maybe if I don't want to even X out the 5-mans. Let's see what we get and see what we want to change from there. I also think that, again, I always am a big fan in baseball to spread it out. I do make tweaks, so it's going to mostly use up your salary. But I really don't mind leaving extra money on the table in baseball, a lot more than other people might not. Again, not playing a ton of lineups tonight. Maybe this is something just to get a little bit different, 49-9-0-0. And that's one thing I can do to get a little bit off the board. But I don't even think you necessarily need to on a 13-game slate. There's going to be plenty of options to you. And I don't think it's going to make a big difference whether I'm at 50 or 49.9. It's very rare that extra $100 and the perfect amount is the optimal. I don't know if that's ever happened, to be honest, in baseball. Baseball, you see like the optimal would be like 20,000 left on the table usually. So we'll run through that and talk through some other things. Just a heads up. So, we had 2 Monday night games last night, which did not go great for me, even though I had some nice starts with Rashad White. And I went basically with the big Chubb fade, and it would have worked that one play late. He literally had nothing going the whole game. And then, of course, after that weird turnover, he ends up getting it in the end zone, and that'll change it on a 2-game slate. We will have be live for you on Sunday. I'm going to be doing a show with James McCool, who's with us also. As I mentioned, TrueDFS does an awesome job in a lot of different fronts, a lot of things that they don't cover on SaberSim, a lot of player projections, a lot of prop bets. So we're going to talk through this first look of the NFL with James McCool tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern. I will be going over the NFL slate as a whole, going game by game with Sheets at 1 Eastern tomorrow. We also will have some other we'll do our normal baseball and whatnot, all that stuff, etc. So, all right, so let's run the Sims. And most of you guys know how to use this. Just make sure the lineups you want are still tagged in here. Sometimes it defaults differently for different people, I've been told. I'm not sure if that's right. One thing I also like about Milwaukee, now they're going to get their lineup in earlier today because they're playing at 4:40. But Milwaukee gets their lineups in late. So you do end up, I sometimes feel like seeing a little bit less ownership on them in that case. When they were playing on the West Coast road trip, I wasn't even playing, but I noticed their lineup wasn't out sometimes until like an hour and a half before game time, 2 hours before game time, which is like an hour and a half after lock. That can be a fruitful team to bet on when you're taking some chances, because they have a lot of punch, obviously, and teams that get their lineups in tend to be a little bit late, tend to be a little bit lower owned. because people tend to want to have their decisions made by lock. I also want to remind everybody that you guys really should be late swapping. It's one of the great tools we have here with SaberSim, the SaberSim product. Now you can late swap and incorporate Cheats or Goldie's projections. Just want to keep an eye out of who's in the make sure that Cheats has the right guys in the game. Every now and then you'll run into an issue, but it's pretty easy to do that. You can just see when there's a 0 projection from SaberSim, and it'll obviously have a check mark next to who's in the lineup once they're out. So we'll know that. Eagle said he binked the 0.25 for the Monday main slate. Let's go. Oh man, I wish I would have had that one in the $20. I could have won, or was it the $20 yesterday? Yeah, I think it was. Would have been nice to win 500K. But nice, Eagles. That's awesome. That's I'm guessing a very big field tournament. I'm not allowed to play or see those tournaments, but I'm guessing it's got to be a lot. All right, so after rerunning things a little bit, here is where we're at. Again, even more concentrated on on Peralta and Shohei. Sort of spread out everywhere else. Doesn't really bother me. I still think, again, even getting 3% of Kyle Freeland is going to be more than the field mostly. And I do think the Yuri Perez those are my 3 favorites. Even if I was hand building, I think I would probably use mostly Peralta, Ohtani, Perez combinations, sprinkling some of these other guys in the mix. I also have a little rule I forgot. If I'm playing, and I'm not playing a ton of lineups today, so maybe it's not the ideal time to do it. But let's just take a quick look here with the I know he's been good, and it used to work better than it does. It's more of a superstition because it's won me 6 figures multiple times. I think we could take a shot or 2 with Houston and their weaker lineup tonight, and I'm just going to put a tiny little percentage next to them because I don't think you're going to get to any of them against Kelly. And let's just go to Houston real quick and take a look and see if there's any matchup that really stands out. I don't think it's going to. I mean, he wouldn't have a history with these guys like crazy because of the different leagues. So let's just take a quick look and just see projection. Not one player that really jumps out at me as oh, this is something we should do. I mean, I guess you do have the super cheap Zach Cole. I guess that's one. All right, we'll use him as our value guy. We'll make one more tweak. And again, I'm just going to keep see what we got, and then we'll keep making tweaks. But let's see where we're at right now for team stacks. All right, Cincinnati, still getting to a lot of Miami, but I'm going to guess mostly not 5-mans. We'll see. Maybe I even X out the Miami 5-mans. I'm just going to take a quick look at Colorado again to sort of get a feel for their ownership. This is just something. Baseball, you really want to play game theory a lot. You don't really want to mess around with the no ball too much. It can get you in trouble in a daily sample. Knowing it in the long run is a good thing, but it's not like you need to. And you see Goldie and Cheats have it even lower owned. So I'm okay with getting the Colorado exposure tonight just based on their ownership. So we're going to apply. We're going to rebuild one more time and see where we're at. Hey, Eric, good to see you, buddy. It's been a while, man. Nice to see you back. I just got back, and it's been another long summer, ready for football. That's what I'm back for, but obviously going to finish out the baseball season strong. And we got basketball coming just right around the corner. So let me just double check my notes on the Giants. I thought I had it noted as a bullpen game earlier, but I could be wrong. Let me answer Kevin. I think it is a bullpen game. Yeah. So I think that's sort of the way we're treating it. Yeah, that's what I've got. That's what I had on my notes from earlier today. And unless we hear anything different, that's what I'm going to go with. And the Giants have not released a starting lineup officially, so we don't even know who's opening officially yet for them. So we'll find that out later. So the A's. Okay, that's an interesting question. It's the team that was not heavily on my radar tonight. Is there a reason that it happened? Is there a reason? Are the A's even on this slate? I don't think they are, right? No wonder I don't. Let me know if I'm missing something, Eric, because I don't see the A's. I literally went through this slate a bunch of times, and I somehow still it confused me when I saw that. I was like, did I miss something? Maybe I did. All right, we're gonna rebuild one more time, see where we're at, and we'll go from there. And just for what it's worth, guys, I'm not playing a ton in baseball right now. It's the end of the year. I'll throw in the big buy-in lineups a little later on. Today, I'm just still sort of keeping it small. Just playing the 250 and a bunch of the other stuff. I'm trying to, work my way back in. And as you guys know, I like to sort of put my takes there on the bigger buy-ins in general. I don't let the system decide it for me. I will use it. I will late swap, but I will make sure that I approve it, especially if I'm only playing one to 3 or 4 big buy-ins. It's pretty easy to do. before each part of the slate's lock. But today I'm just going lottery, the 250, etc., and not really doing much else. A's are not on the slate. That's why I was confused. That's what Kevin said. I was a little confused what Eric, if you're talking about the 2-gamer, I did not pay any attention to that, or I think it's a 2-gamer at 6:40 Eastern. I care less about it. If you want to play them, I don't think you're going to be getting anything different by anything on a 2-gamer, to be honest. So I did not have any thoughts on that. I was really confused for a second. I was like, how did I miss the A's on a slate? Especially because, like Eric, I have a little bit of a propensity to kind of overplay the A's. Not necessarily overplay them, just play them a lot. All right, what else we got? No problem, man. Just almost made me look like an idiot because I was like trying to figure out if I missed something, but it was my bad actually. I should have known that. I just didn't. I don't really pay attention to the alt slates when there are 1 or 2 games, especially. All right. Did anybody else? So Eagles took down the quarter. That's awesome for the mini max last night. Anybody else with some good Monday Night Football results? I know Brandon Cruz did it again. He had a nice result in baseball and football last night. Let me just run this sim, see where we're at. All right. And I don't usually show all my bets. I did want to look, guys. We built the whole site and everything. It's a whole lot different, and there's all the information and stuff. Most of it's the same. There's a lot more of it, but I think it's a really, really worthwhile to check out. Check out the site when you have a chance. I'm telling you, using this pay dirt stuff is phenomenal, and I think you guys would really, really benefit from it. They do an incredible job to combine with our partnership with SaberSim, as well as all of our Mind Sheets, Goldies, Roadies, Brandon Cruz's content, especially Brandon Cruz lately. Yeah, I'm high on the Reds tonight, Eric. I guess you're going to see that. I'm going to guess they're going to be my most popular. Yeah, high on the Reds. I think they end up a little higher owned than they should be. And Sheets' old thing is he hates playing the team who just scored 1 million runs. I'm okay with it. We are, again, getting a lot of that San Francisco. So let's just take a look at the 5-mans and make sure. Yeah, I'm going to go even a little lower on Miami. I'm just going to put, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to X out the Miami 5-mans tonight. How about that? Just get even a little bit weirder with it. They have the highest total. They're looking to be super popular. Let's not play them and just see if we can get different enough, and hopefully that Miami doesn't break the slate. Look, there's 25 other teams that have a chance tonight, so we don't need to worry about it too much. Who just came in? So that means we got see there we've got the different lineup, the Milwaukee lineup, Arizona and Colorado all just came in. So I'm gonna apply and download this. We're gonna skip that, and we are going to rebuild one more time with the players out and see if it changes anything all that much. I think that you're going to end up with some cheaper bets in Milwaukee based on what I think we're going to see. So maybe, where is the Milwaukee lineup? I just saw that if they're taking Turang out, that must mean we have the lineup. So let me just grab the lineup. Oops. Milwaukee. No, we don't even have the Milwaukee. Why are they? What am I missing here? That was weird. All right, we'll see what the Miami lineup is, the Milwaukee lineup is in a little bit, I guess. All right, we're rebuilding, and we'll go from there. Oh, the 25-cent arcade had 47K. That's a lot of people, man. That's a big tournament to win. That's a lot. Yeah, I'm not especially interested in the Yankees tonight, but I wouldn't fault you for it coming off the shutout. I think that's an interesting way to go. As I mentioned, Milwaukee, the other high total team. I think that Colorado, I think both sides of Arizona, San Francisco are interesting. I think the Reds are interesting. And I think both sides of Tampa Bay and Toronto, especially Tampa Bay, are appealing to me. Those are sort of the teams that I want to get to the most. I did X out the Mets, and I don't like the spot all that much, for one thing, for both the Padres and the Mets, but also not good hitting weather, wind blowing in. Just feels like in terrible hitter park. I just think I'd rather play other games. So we X'd out the 5-man of both of those teams, San Diego and New York. We X'd out the 5-man of Milwaukee. And I'm sorry, of Miami. Excuse me, Miami. I don't even know if he's highly rated, Eric. Like, we're talking about Zebby sucks. I don't know. Is he I don't think that's like some insane take that he's overrated. I don't think that he's even rated that high. I don't think it's that. I mean, look at the run total against him. I don't think anybody has that much respect for him. But also, you got to think about this one thing with the Yankees. These numbers are skewed, and it's not just home road splits for them. So here's who they get to play. remember this when everybody talks about everything, including best players and everything. And Aaron Judge deserves to be called. You can call him the best hitter or whatever. Shohei is the best player. That's fine with me. But I want to point out something. The Yankees are a top 5 hitters park. The Red Sox are a top 5 hitters park. This year, Tampa Bay has, what are they, the 6th best park? So you're playing, that's 57 of your games. That's more than a third of your season, just against those 3 teams. And then Toronto, above average hitters park. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you call it average, whatever. I'd say average to above average. I think a little bit above average. That's a lot. And then when you go to a little bit of a worse hitters park like Minnesota, I tend to look. It doesn't always work, but I tend to avoid some of the better projecting teams in those situations because a lot of their numbers are deriving from playing in these stadiums. You have your home games for 81. You've got 9 road games, so you have 9 to 10 road games, depending on whatever. No, it should be 9. 9 to Tampa Bay, 9 to Boston. So now we're at, and then also throw in the Blue Jays in the mix or whatever. But just that's 100 games that they get to have an incredible hitters park. So when they're in a worse hitters park, it's just I found it to be a useful strategy for me in the long run playing DFS. I don't think everybody has to do it. I don't think there's an exact right answer, but that's where I'm at anyway. All right, we're getting Shane Smith, Gilbert, Kyle Freeland. I'm down to one lineup. I'll stick with the one lineup of the Kyle Freeland. Watch Kyle Freeland go out there and put up. You know what? I'm gonna. What the hell? We'll gamble a little. Now I'm gonna tighten up this though a little bit, just because I don't want Kyle Freeland and then not somebody else I would have played at 2,500 more. But I'm just gonna rebuild one more time before we look at anything. And again, I know it seems tedious and a lot of jumping around. This is what I've done that's worked pretty well for me since we joined up with SaberSim and since we started doing things a little bit differently with all the contest sims and the sims and stuff, starting early last year. So I've had to adjust my game, and this has now become a lot of it. Eric's into the Freeland. All right. How do I feel about the White Sox getting to them? You mean the White Sox just in general tonight? To Kramer? I am not interested in the White Sox, but not going to scream one way or the other. I just personally don't have it. It's not happening for me. If I ended up with 2 or 3%, I'm not going to cross it off. If I ended up with 10 or more as 5-mans, probably would lower it. Again, only playing. Look, my contest only 56 contests tonight. That's a lot less than I usually play. I don't think I want 8 of those to be White Sox 5-man stacks. That's just me. If I ended up 1 or 2, not crazy. I do think that there is a case for Freeland. I know it's crazy. I wish it was a 7-game slate because he'd still be like 1% owned, and then you could do something different by playing him. But like doing it on a 13-game slate, because then you're asking for real production. But I mean, he did just at home put up one of the games of the season against the Padres. So we know there's a ceiling in there somewhere. Things have to kind of go perfect, but why not? Why not Kyle Freeland? I don't feel incredibly awesome about this pitching slate in general. So when that happens, I think you take a gamble on a cheap guy, maybe get a little bit different. Maybe, look, if I was hand building one today and I wanted to play Miami, which I don't, I guess you couldn't use Kyle Freeland in that lineup. But if I wanted to play, let's say the next 2 most popular stacks, who's it going to be? I guess we talked about Milwaukee and probably, is it going to be Milwaukee? I'm starting to have doubts about this ownership. Let me just take one more quick look here. And slide over. Miami, New York, Colorado, then San Fran maybe will be the way it goes. It's going to be pretty spread out outside Miami, I'll tell you that. All right. Here we go. Who else has inside information on the legality of DFS in California? I've been told by a lot of people that in January we're going to lose it here, and that means I'm going to finish out the football season for DFS no matter what. So I might have to go to Arizona or Canada. For Vancouver, you can go play up there. I just did it. Awesome place, by the way. Anybody who, look, I spent a lot of time in Vancouver in my life. It's a great city. And what was surprising to me that I hadn't really experienced as much before was the football Sundays at bars there were like way more than I'm in LA, so it's a little bit like LA, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we don't have like the sports bars that you have in Chicago or stuff like that. I mean, we have them. We just don't, it's not like usually that intense unless it's a specific like Laker game, Dodger game, etc. But it was really blew me away how cool they were. And like they had the thing for jerseys. I told Sheets that you play $10 for a quarter. If you win the quarter, you win the jersey. I played two quarters and I won 2 jerseys. And I will send. I wish I could make it. What would be an enticing thing? Guess what 2 jerseys I picked? Now, keep in mind, they don't have everybody's jersey. So one of them, you guys who are familiar with me are probably going to get. What 2 jerseys did I pick? And remember, one of them was the first quarter of the first game. One of them was the second quarter of the first game, of the first set of games. And it was just one game that I was on. It was the Tampa Bay Atlanta game. So who were the 2 jerseys that I picked? That's a fun little game of trivia. And keep in mind, I'm a Rams fan. I will say it was not a Ram. I do have the Rams jerseys, other Rams jerseys, but they did not have any Rams jersey selections. They had they had basically every other team but the Rams. So now look, we've got all the Miami, but look, we've got none of the Miami 5-mans, which we love. Okay. But now let's make sure our stack stayed with integrity here. So let's look at our stack exposure types. They did, because we eliminated the other ones. So we have a little bit of non-5-mans. I'm willing to embrace that a little bit. I'd rather stick with 5-mans mostly today. As long as they're the majority of my lineups are 5-mans, I'm okay with taking some shots on some 4-3s, some 4-4s. And remember, late swap is going to take care of a lot of this for me because I am probably not going to set those same exposures. And what my late swap way of doing things is there's the 4-10 game, then we've got all these 7-30 games. I don't think I haven't had much exposure to these games. So mostly my late swapping is going to come between this 4:45 and 5:10 window before we get these other later games. And that's really where I'm going to be doing my late swapping today. And then I'll of course do it again before the 6:30 before this later games. But that's my plan, my plans. Any chance you can run the night slate? I can run it. I don't have any thoughts on it, but yeah, I'll run it. Give me a second here. So I like we ended up with a good amount of Milwaukee, but we don't have them as 5-mans, which I kind of like. 5-mans, we're a little bit spread out, maybe a little bit more than we'd want to be. I'm okay with it. And again, we're getting exposure to elite offense in a way that most people aren't going to, because they're gonna 5-man stack. We're gonna have them as 2, 3, and 4s, and I like that way of differentiating a little bit. As you can see, spread out a pitcher outside of Ohtani and Peralta. Ohtani and Peralta probably will be in my highest buy-in, and then I will probably be stacking. I'm considering Cincinnati. I'm considering Tampa Bay as a contrarian, but maybe a little too contrarian for this slate. I considered Seattle. I think it's probably going to end up being Cincinnati, and then the San Francisco Arizona game, both sides of that game. So that's where we're at. We're going to save this for now. I'm going to wait till all the lineups are in before I make my final decisions. We don't even have the Milwaukee lineup in yet, so I'm curious to see what kind of ownership SaberSim dictates it'll have one way or the other. And let's just see. All right. And we'll make sure it just holds. All right. And I took out all my money off of DraftKings before I left. So now I look like I'm broke on there. But I actually also have entered tournaments for the weekend for football and stuff. So I left a few thousand on there, but I'm just playing with that until we what is going on here? All right. What just happened? Something weird glitch there for a second. Okay, while this is happening, I will, for our guy Corey, run the night slate real quick and just see what SaberSim thinks about it. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's make sure I get rid of this because I like to keep the same one I had. Get rid of it. It's a little slow. It's honestly look, my computer should be has as much space as anything and all this stuff, but for some reason when I do the restream shows, it's a little slower. All right, we'll do MLB and then we'll do night. Just a 2-gamer. All right, let's see. Thanks, Eagles. Appreciate you, man. Always. I'm glad you took that one down. That's a really awesome. That's awesome to win that thing. 47,000 people is not an easy tournament to win. I once won a free roll one that really irritated me because I didn't have it in my other line, which I used to do all the time. I just didn't happen to that night. But it had 497,000 entrants, and as you can imagine, I was pretty sad not to win $1 million that day because I think back then it was like 150 or something or 200. It was a long time ago. It was like right when I didn't even know there was 480,000 DFS or whatever. I guess it was only 150 per person, so 3,000 DFS accounts. I guess you could have been that. Appreciate you, Corey. Thanks very much for the kind words. And I always tend to do pretty well with NBA. Although last year football's become it's hard when you win $1 million at football, but football has become my number one sport. I think I really do. It's the one sport I can actually watch all the games. Like I can literally watch all of the games. All right. So for the night slate, we'll just change a couple of tweaks. Something's wrong with the projections because they've got nothing. Oh, they've got Ohtani. They just get confused. Let's put him as a pitcher and see if it changes anything. What's happening here? Huh. Something's going on with that flagship ownership here with the pitching because they are not including Ohtani. 75. So we're counting on him being less owned than Sanchez. That's never going to happen. I don't understand what's happening. So I'll run a quick build for you, and we'll see what we got there, Corey. All right. And guys, a reminder, check out the new site. I really think it's the best offering in all of DFS. Just SaberSim alone. And then we're just charging like a few bucks more I also just gave you a code that'll get you 33% off pro NFL 2025, all caps. But really get in now because that code will expire soon. I also think our prices will probably at some point have to go up. And one other thing that we've talked about, because Sheets and I have made a fortune for the people investing in us through Stake Kings last year. We paid out a fortune. We didn't make a fortune off of it. But I think we're going to only have subscribers pretty soon be allowed to buy action on us for Stake Kings. And we're going to sell it at a lower markup just because, hey, look, it's some way to make it more fun and makes the live sweat shows a lot more fun and all that. And Sheets loves to do those. He's better at it than I am. I love to join him, maybe have a glass of wine while I'm doing so. Maybe something else. No, just kidding. But it's a lot of fun. Well, there it is. Okay. So does that mean we got a lineup, or does that mean they actually decided to give Shohei a projection? We'll see. All right. I guess not. So just with doing nothing, but really just changing two little things, we'll run the sim and just see what it comes up with for the night slate, and we'll jump back to the main slate. But I do want you guys to really give our site a chance. Look, we're not going to be here forever if it's not. Sheets and I have never made never made a penny. Sure, the company has some value, but we're doing this because we like doing it and we want to build something. In order to build something, we're going to need some people to actually become members and stop doing so much content for free. That's another thing that we've been doing way too much of, and we definitely plan on. And by the way, anybody who is a site member, feel free to DM me any ideas you have of things you want to see from us. We really want to try and cater to you guys. So I don't know how they're even getting this with Shohei. So this is what it came up with for the night slate. It's running 20 lineups, and then team stacks. It wouldn't really be stacks, I guess. You just sort of look at it by players. And obviously, when you have a 2-game slate, you could use up to 3 hitters against your pitcher if you wanted to, especially if it's a high strike guy. You probably could talk yourself into 4. Honestly, it's a 2-game slate. But I don't know how big the contests are tonight. So this is what you're getting. And again, this is just sort of, you could assume this is for the lottery for all intents and purposes. This is a little weird to me that there's nobody who's like 90% owned as a hitter. I don't know. I'm surprised. And actually projection wise, even there's nobody who's above 50. It's a little surprising. Usually on the 2 gamers, you get like a lot of concentrated ownership, even on the hitters. It doesn't seem to be quite the case today. All right. Dodgers just released their lineup, which obviously we knew, and we will move back over and I'll make sure I'm right. I'm going to finish up my builds. They could look totally different by the end of the night. We'll get the Giants and Phillies lineup in and Milwaukee, and then we can make our final decisions. I will post in the Discord when I'm ready with that. Good luck to everybody. Appreciate you all very much. Hit a like on your way out, and we'll keep the content rolling, and hopefully you guys will give our site a chance. We do have some trials out there. Give it a shot. It's football season. Let's make some money. let's let somebody else win $1 million this year. I'm okay with passing the torch, but I would love to get it again. Anyway, good luck, guys, and crush it.